I'll let
When
you
you
know.
join, I'll like make you the. Which one? Okay. I was muted.
No, you.
It doesn't much matter. I'm gonna encourage them to use it.
I think the range of the video.
Yeah, it's
slightly-
weird. It's not,
Sometimes,
the noise zone is not where I'm thinking that it is.
it's less self. Back, yeah. Back, we're gonna stand and tie.
Now we've got one. Perfect. Get my shoulder, but I guess it's okay.
Yeah, and if you want to sit there, I don't mind that either.
Sure.
You can just bring-
I didn't want to encroach in here.
I don't mind.
Make sure everybody's- Okay, so that seems to be pretty good. Have you seen how this, does it show you on here when I'm doing this? It is, okay.
To the audience too. So wait. Is that gonna show up on the recording? No.
None of this should show up. None of that should show up. It should only be the recording. So let me, I'm gonna pin your screen.
And then I guess I'm still wondering,
Do you want to be not co-host?
I want to see if you can do that. Of the video, or you think it'll.
Okay, no, when you did that, you so what?
Oh, you still have a video.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Anything else that we need to?
No, I just need to.
That's so sweet.
It's still.
I would already walk by. I would take Jake's car and then. They've learned not to worry about them.
Not to get home before she said.
So the camera area is going from right here to right there. Okay. I feel like when I'm trying to move this, I'm moving that and I'm having a hard time. It's pretty fiddly. So if you feel like I should put this out of there, give it a try. I'll just show you how I'm. So when I make it smaller, it goes smaller on both sides. So then sneak out here.
Going to celebrate done 45, 50 years.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. You went back when you left the room. It's come forward.
Just impossible. I literally have everything on lockdown, like they cannot, we can't share their screen chat, rename themselves, unmute themselves, start video.
Start, just so people are
Hearing them.
What this says, I'm Diana Furukawa, and I'm the director of the Millinocket Memorial Library. We've been involved in organizing this event tonight. And you might wonder, why is the library involved in this? Well, we're really passionate about providing this community with unbiased information on issues affecting them. And so that definitely, this kind of event falls within that spirit. So our intention of this event is not for it to be a debate. We don't want people sharing personal attacks on other candidates. It's really a forum for the candidates to share with the public information on a few key issues. So thanks for being here. Thanks to Stearns High School for allowing us to use the space. To anyone who contributed questions, even if you don't hear your exact question, it might have helped us form the ones we ended up with. And especially to Wally Paul for being our moderator tonight. So here's how the night's going to go. We will have our school board candidates up first from 6 to about 7 o'clock. Then we're going to have a short intermission, little break. And that's a great chance for school board candidates to mingle. And if people have follow-up questions, to ask those questions. Then a little bit after 7, we're going to start with our town council candidates. And we're hoping to wrap up around 8 o'clock. This is on Zoom, although people on Zoom are not going to be able to participate and interact directly with candidates. And it's being recorded, so don't say anything that you don't want on YouTube later. All right, a couple more little housekeeping things. The bathrooms, I have learned, are through those doors on the left towards the auditorium. Is that correct? They're unlocked. Thank you to all who helped with that. And just if you have a cell phone in the room, please silence it now so that we can stay focused. All right. A few ground rules for the candidates. Like I said, no personal attacks. Focus on your answers rather than debating others. And let's be specific and focus on the issues at hand. We do have time limits for the question. And I will be having a visual timer. It's going to be on that iPad stand. It'll be facing you. So you should be able to see kind of like a little pie chart getting smaller and smaller. At the end, there's going to be a really abrasive beep. And I will go like this, and that is your cutoff. All right. So please respect the time limit so you can be as fair as possible. So without further ado, Wally Paul, our moderator.
Thank you. I'm gonna make believe I don't want it. What we'll do is we have a set of 5 questions, and we'll start in alphabetical order. First, alphabetically, we'll get the first question and we'll go through, and then the second alphabetically, we'll get the second and go through. That was the fairest way we could do it. So question number 1, and we have 2 minutes with a timer. Please tell us about yourself and your qualifications for office and why you're interested in serving on the school board. We'll start with Kevin Gregory.
Okay, I'm Kevin Gregory, lifelong resident of Millinocket. I graduated from Stearns High School. Married to my wife Jennifer, my son Stephen, both graduated from Stearns High School. My qualifications, I've been on the school board,
Turn that on.
Better?
There you go.
You can hear, okay. You want to start over?
Yeah, let's let him start over. There we go.
So first of all, can everybody hear? Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me now?
and Kevin?
Okay. I'm Kevin Gregory. I'm a lifelong resident of Millinocket. I graduated from Stearns High School. My wife and son both graduated from Stearns High School. My qualifications, I've been on the school board for 13 years. Completed all my terms. I never dropped out. And what I can add to the thing, I just think I bring an open voice, an open mind to all the issues that come up. I listen to everything that's going on. And then I make my decision. I've gone in before where I had an idea of where I was going to vote, but after listening to the discussion, I changed my vote. One thing I can do is I can live with the vote, even if I don't vote for it. So I accept what the consensus is from the school board. I don't need 2 minutes, I don't think.
Yeah, if you like, I can repeat the question.
No.
Okay.
I'm Julie Hewke. Hi. I was Julie Medor. My family goes back in Millinocket for 3 or 4 generations of volunteer work and civic duty and all of that jazz. I grew up with it. I'm the mother of 2 Granite Street School students, 2 little girls. And my son is recently just started his sophomore year at Hampshire College, where he got almost a full scholarship from. And a lot of recognition from our school specifically. So I feel like qualifications wise, being a parent, being an HR professional, and someone who is concerned with privacy and procedure, the right way to do things to get the results that you want without making too much of a splash and having it go the way you don't want. Public service is about compromise and what you can live with and what you can't, like Kevin said. It's very important to come to a consensus and debate and then decide. That is the proper procedure for things. So what I can bring to the board, that's pretty much the same thing. I tend to go on longer than I should. So when we're at, oh, we're almost done. So I can bring a younger perspective, a understanding of what it is to raise a small child in this particular arena that we have found ourselves in the last few years. And yeah, that's what it has to be.
Kevin, Libby. Next, and please tell us about yourself, your qualifications for office, and why you're interested in serving on the board.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Libby. I've lived in Millinocket 67 years. I've had 3 children go through the system at schools. I have a granddaughter right now that's a freshman in high school. I've got kind of a vested interest. I want to see her succeed and do well. I have taught school in Millinocket for approximately 19 years. I've worked at the mill 30 years, the mill shut down. During the time I worked in the mill, I attended college nights. I received a degree in liberal studies, a degree in elementary education. I think I can really offer a lot to the school board. I hate to pat myself on the back. I'm a lifelong learner. I think that's something we should be teaching our children to be. We can give them an education, but they're going to have to relearn and be dedicated to relearning for their entire lives now. It changes so fast. And I think I can do that. As far as working within the school board, no one's going to baffle me with their brilliance. I know a lot about education. I have a master's. After I got the associate degree, my degree in elementary education, I went on to get a master's. I know a little bit about the lingo. I have a lot of friends involved in education in Millinocket and at the University of Maine and at different schools. I have participated in an audit of another school in another district as a special education audit for the state. I know a little bit about special education laws. I know a little bit about school laws. I'll do my very best, and I'm committed. I guess that kind of wraps it up.
Tom Malcolm, please tell us about yourself and your qualifications for office and why you're interested in serving on the school board.
My name is Tom Malcolm. I was born in Heartland, Maine. My father moved to Millinocket when I was 6 months old. When they built Millinocket Regional Hospital, they brought him here to work for them. Since then, I have worked for local businesses and I have worked for the town of Millinocket for 48 years. Currently fire chief, life safety officer. I served on the Millinocket School Board for 15 years, 9 of those as chair. I got off the board because my wife taught at Katahdin and wanted to come to Millinocket for it. So I got off the board so she could. I've kept a very close eye on what's going on with the schools. During my terms before, when I was on the school board, I took school law. Because as Kevin says, you know, a lot of times people try to tell you this and that. Well, you need to know a little bit about what's really going on. So my main interest, I had said I was done. I did my 15 years and I was done and I wasn't going to do it again. But when my wife retired, and I see what the board is going through, I felt that my experience and what I had learned from the board before would be a help. So I went back really to try to help. I feel that the board needs to work together as well as working with the town council. There's no reason that people can't sit across the table and talk to each other. No, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way we need to keep doing it. And as Kevin said, you know, I may not win the battle if we take a vote and it's 4-1 or 3-2, or when we come out of there, we're 5-0. We should all be on the same page. I've run out of time. Thank you.
Amber, please tell us about yourself, your qualifications for office, and why you're interested in serving on the school board.
Hi, I'm Amber Wheaton. I was born in Millinocket. Originally, my main name's York. My husband's from the town. We have a child who is going to be entering Granite Street next fall. I am really invested in the community and I care about our kids. I think I'm qualified to run for school board because I'm honest. I believe I'm fair and I'm a team player. And that's why I feel I should be on the school board.
For our next question, we'll start with Julie.
Thought we were just gonna have to do it first the whole time.
Julie, what do you see as the primary role of the school board?
I think the school board is important to the business side of things, to keeping things running smoothly. I think that the school board is its primary function is to roll with the punches, go over policy, make important decisions based on all the facts, be the representatives for our school system and our community, like we're having the Maine State School Board Conference, and I'm going to be the delegate that looks over policy and all that stuff beforehand, not because it seems like, you know, the most interesting thing to a lot of people, but because I, like Kevin, am a lifelong learner. The more information, the better. I came on here as an interim school board member, and I am still sort of learning all the ins and outs of what the school board really should be focusing on, should be doing, and what they are for. There's been a lot of eye-opening information about the operation of the school board when it comes to the inner workings of things that I wasn't obviously privy to before. But I really think that the function of the school board is to manage the school to the best of our ability for the staff, for the taxpayers, for the parents, and most importantly, for the kids.
Thank you. Kevin, Libby, what do you see as the primary role of the school board?
I think the primary role of the school board is to oversee the schools in the district in our area. I think the school board has to reflect the beliefs and the values and the priorities of the town of Millinocket, of the whole community. One of the major responsibilities of the school board is to go over policies. You know, there are over 200 policies that the school board is held responsible for. 200. I'd like to tell you I've read them all. I haven't yet. I'm retired, so I guess I can keep busy this winter because I will read them. Some of those policies are a paragraph long, some of those policies are pages long. You're responsible to look at, as a school board member, you're responsible to look at those policies to review them and keep them up to date. I'm hoping a lot of them are pretty standard and they just make sure that we obey the law. But that's one of the responsibilities. Another big responsibility of the school board is to oversee the physical structure of the school and to plan and to look ahead and say, yeah, this is what we need to do. I think I can do that well. I think the responsibility of the school board is to communicate with parents and community members. I'm not afraid to talk to people. Up here, I'm stuttering and stammering, and I wish you were all 4th and 5th graders because I could handle it. But I'm not doing a good job handling this. I don't care if a parent comes up and talks to me. I hope they do. I don't know how I can represent people on the school board if they don't. I can't make any decisions as an individual school board member unless I'm in a school board meeting in that capacity. I don't want to spread gossip. I don't want people saying bad things on YouTube or on social media about the town council, or the school board. That broke my heart this spring. I don't want to fight that battle, and I really don't want to look back at that. I want to look forward, and I want to look forward to working with the school board and the community and doing the right things by the students in our town. Guess that wraps it up.
Thank you. Tom Malcolm, what do you see as the primary role of the school board?
The primary role of the school board is to oversee the school. We have administrators, we have a superintendent that runs the school. We have policies and procedures. We don't get into everyday operations of the school. You know, a lot of people come up to me and, you know, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. And I'm willing to hear that. I want to hear that. But then I take that back to the leadership. That's why we hire those people to do that job. You know, we've been very fortunate to have some excellent leaders in the school system. And I feel that we can't be, you know, I'm not a school teacher. I'm not a school administrator. I don't know how a school should run. I know what the policies say, I know what the laws say, but you really need to leave that up to them. And in my opinion, the function of the school board is to oversee and do policies and procedures. The other big thing is the physical buildings, making sure that the buildings are, you know, they have what they need to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Amber, what do you see as the primary role of the school board?
I believe the primary role of the school board is to support the entire community in creating an environment and culture and education system where the children can thrive. They oversee policies and laws, and it's a responsibility of the school board to ensure that things run smoothly and our kids can be better in the future.
Thank you. Kevin Gregory, what do you see as the primary role of the school board?
Well, I think the main purpose is to provide a safe, the best we can and most cost-effective education we can to the kids of Millinocket. As other people have said, we have to make sure that our staff and our students are following policies so that we're staying in line with what we're supposed to be doing. I think the other thing we have to be watching is our school budget, making sure we're staying within our boundaries, that we're not out of line and we're not going to overrun our budget. That's a big thing, that we have a budget that's adopted by the town council, and then the town votes on it. So we need to stay within that budget. So that's something that's we don't want to get into the point where we're going negative, and I hope not to see that ever again. So that is what I would say.
Thank you. Our third question will start with Libby. Kevin, what do you hope to accomplish during your time on the school board? And what hurdles do you anticipate being impediments to you being in your way?
I'd like to have a more collaborative relationship with the town council. I don't think people who care about the community, which I believe the town council, every member of them does, and the school board who cares about the community, and I believe every member does, should be arguing and saying disparaging things in newspapers and about the town. One of the things that will attract people to this town is a good school, hospitals. We want that. And in order to do that, we don't always want to be saying the most negative thing we can. We want to be positive. We want to look to the future. I don't want to fight yesterday's battles. I think it was a terrible misunderstanding. I realize the town council is in charge of the finances of the community. I do realize that. And I do realize that we have to cooperate with the town council. They care about the community, they care about the schools. As a school board member, I certainly care about the community and the schools. That's going to be a hurdle. And that's the first thing I worry about. I worry about students who, during this last 2 years, during this terrible pandemic we've had, and missing school and trying to get an education over Zoom. I worry about that, and I think of ways as an educator that maybe we can overcome some of those deficits that have been created because of that. And there are things we can do. Some of them, unfortunately, are going to cost money. We're getting some money from the federal government, from the state. I think I've got some ideas on how to utilize it and help those kids. I'm scared to death when I decide to run about all the violence I see in schools. That school in Texas broke my heart. I want to make sure that somehow we are reevaluating how we handle those things, how we can prevent them in the future.
Thank you. Tom Malcolm, what do you hope to accomplish during your time on the school board, and what hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
What I hope to accomplish is to bring the school board and the town council and the community back together. So that we're on the same page, and we're going in the same direction. The school department is a department of the town of Millinocket. We're under the town of Millinocket. That's the way the charter says. That's the way we need to be. But I think each entity does their own thing. You know, the school board is to take care of the school and to make sure that things are going well and right at the school. Whereas the council has the oversight of the whole community. I think that we need to work together. We need to work side by side for the betterment of this community. I worry about a lot of our students that are just getting pushed to the wayside. We need to get all of our students involved and make sure that we're providing education to all of our students. My wife taught special ed, and has kind of laid that on me that, you know, these kids have the same potential that all of the kids have, and we need to realize that and make that possible. And I think that's the biggest hurdle that we're looking at is cost-wise. How do we do that? How do we provide the best that we can, but yet stay within what our taxpayers can actually live with? You know, we have a lot of elderly and widowed, but that's just the way the statistics are. You know, husbands have been retired and died out of the mill in the 40s and 50s that are having struggles. We need to, as a school board, we need to keep them in our thoughts, as well as the quality of the school for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Amber, excuse me. What do you hope to accomplish during your time on the school board, and what hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
I hope to accomplish a better working relationship between the school board and the town council, first and foremost, but also just cultivate an environment where teachers, community members, and parents all feel free to discuss openly and in a healthy way issues that are going on in our community and just offering my support in those areas. I do know that everyone has different opinions and different ideas, and those can be conflicting. I think that's the biggest hurdle, is communicating through those issues and finding a happy medium that is best for all of the kids in the school system. Thank you.
Gregory.
Well, here, the first thing for me is, the council and the school board show mutual respect, you know, that this was the hardest year that I ever had to be on the school board this past year. And I don't want to see that again. And I think the publicity was the worst thing, seeing this stuff in the paper. And so that's one of the issues I'd like to see, that we're back so we can have meetings in here, and both are here. We can do that with respect for everybody involved. The second thing I think we need to look at is our enrollment. The amount of money we get from the state is based on EPS formula, and it's pretty complicated, but the rural districts are at a big disadvantage because of our class sizes. We actually have, it's a quotient. I don't think we get 84% of what we're actually should be getting, where Portland may get 1.21% of what they're supposed to get. So that's a big disadvantage that we have here in Millinocket. The last thing I think we need to look at is sharing more things with East Millinocket and Medway. I've been pro consolidation in the past. I think it's the best thing that can happen. We've got, you know, maybe 40 kids graduating here, and I think it was 15 this year on East Millinocket. So it's not even a big school if we were together. I think that's the best thing that can offer the most for the kids. Is it going to happen? I've been hoping for 13, Mike's nodding his head out there, maybe 15 years. We actually had a vote on, but I would like to see that happening again.
Thank you, Julie. What do you hope to accomplish during your time on the school board, and what hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
I have a lot, 3 years is a long time, which is the length of time seat that I'm running for. I have a lengthy list of things that I'd like to accomplish. Kevin touched on a couple of them. Consolidation is something that's always been on the table, but has never been physically on, not that it would be physical, but follow my drift, on the table to, you know, and a real tangible thing to work with. It's always been this nebulous, you know, what if we do, and are the class sizes too small? And my son's class had, I think, in the upper 30s of a graduating class a couple of years ago. When I graduated 20 years ago, we had 81 in my class, which was half of my dad's class. So we're getting to the point now where things are getting, you know, we were talking about it when I was in high school, and it wasn't as dire yet. Things weren't as, you know, complicated as they are now when it comes to jumping through hoops as a smaller school in a smaller class. I hope to, again, like everyone else, accomplish an understanding between the school board and the town council that is based on mutual respect and communication. We are sorely lacking in forthright, clear communication between the two entities. We are under one blanket as a municipality. We don't act like it. And I think that there's much improvement in that realm of things. And I think that I am particularly good at that part of life in general, that part of interactions. I want to know why you think this. I don't want to know that you think it. I don't want to know that I disagree with it. I don't want to know small talk facts. I want to know where you're coming from, and I'll listen. Oh, doesn't it? And see.
Well done. Well done. So we move on to question 4. We start with Tom Malcolm. The school budget is currently slightly over half of Millinocket's total annual budget. In what light should voters see this, and how would you explain your answer?
That's a very good question. Cost of education today is rising. The cost of everything is rising, but education is rising at a leaps and bounds. And when you look at the budget, I know I talked to a lot of people, especially a lot of the elderly people that talk about how much, what the percentage is of the school, to run a school. And that's all true. You know, we've been very fortunate the last couple of years that the state has finally got to where they should be. You know, it's about time they paid what they were supposed to pay. As many people can remember, this community lost a lot of money to a previous administration, and it came out of the town, and the school ended up taking a load of it too, because that's where we had to do it to make it feasible for everybody. What can we do to make that better? That's the big question, and how do we do that and still provide the quality of the education that we need to? I don't have the answer for that. I think it's something that we need to work on, that we need to work together. You know, we've talked about sharing services. Well, that's great, but you know, you can't go to a dance without a partner. And this community has been over backwards to try to do that. So all we can do is keep working towards that and providing the best that we can with what we can, but keeping in mind that the budget, where we stand with the budget and where we stand with trying to keep things affordable in this community.
Thank you. Amber, the school budget is currently slightly over half of the Millinocket's annual budget. In what light should voters see this, and how would you explain your answer?
I think voters should see that in a positive light. It takes a substantial amount of money to fund schools. And our schools need the funds. I think we need more money to build on the foundations of the buildings, to have more programs for the students. I understand that needs time. But that money is going to our children and to their future, that they are the future of this community. And without a proper education, they won't be able to help us keep Millinocket going. Thank you.
Evan Gregory. Evan, the school budget is currently slightly over half of Millinocket's total annual budget. In what light should voters see this, and how would you explain your answer?
I think the first thing one thing I'm proud of is that we were able to come into the town this year with asking for less money than we did last year. Especially with the cost of electricity, fuel, the fuel prices doubled, the cost of food, supplies. So I think that we've done real well trying to keep the budget in check. Being half of the most rural towns, the school budget is the biggest expense for any town. There's some that are 70, 80%. A lot are at 60%. For us to be down to 50%, I think we've done well. When I first came on the board, I think we were 58 or 59%. We made some substantial cuts, but that was a low hanging fruit. But now when you get hit with electricity and all these costs that are coming in, it's hard. I think the school board has done a good job trying to identify different ways that we can bring income in so we don't need this. One is the international program. You know, some people like it, some don't, but it's brought a lot of help to the schools. We have a lot of kids that want to come to Stearns High School, but we don't have homestays. So if anyone would like to be a homestay, they can contact the office, and that brings, and they're counted as our students. So that's the money we would get back from the EPS. The final thing is the EPS. We need more students. We need our ratios to change. Whoever comes on the board, if you haven't been on the board for a while, you're going to learn the EPS is the hardest thing to learn in the budget and school finance. So I think we need to keep looking at ways to share with these two, and that could cut some of our costs. I think those are the things we need to look at to make it cost effective. And you're right, we need to have, the children are our future, so we need to be able to have a good school system.
Thank you. Julie, the school budget is currently slightly over half of Millinocket's total annual budget. In what light should voters see this, and how would you explain your answer?
I think a lot of the same as Kevin. I think we should be proud of ourselves that the budget continues to remain within the bounds of being half, give or take. It's a tough thing to do to manage the budget of a school system. Not only that, but we're in a unique position as far as our neighbors go, because we are a municipality school system. We're not a consolidated school system. It falls on us entirely. And working with the budget since July, since I've been on the board, has been sort of eye-opening to me how many working and moving parts that takes. I mean, not obviously, we all know that a lot goes into a budget that big, but I think really what we have to just think about is, like, you know, it stems all from this large problem that has been growing and growing and growing, where there's less and less and less people staying in town. There was less and less and less business, and everybody is always lamenting this fact, and we should. And it's time that we considered it a proactive measure rather than a hindrance that we require this budget to run the school, because we cannot sustain this community without children in it learning not only what we have to offer. We have Region 3 for the technical students that is turning out just incredible professionals right from the moment that they step out the door. We just heard a presentation on it the other night. There is very little that is more valuable than good education, especially in rural communities. When you want to keep your population going, you want to have services for your elderly, you want to have people moving back. There's been so many people from my generation that have started to come with telecommuting. It's become possible, and they need these things. They want these things. The children deserve these things.
Thank you. Kevin, Libby. The school budget is currently slightly over half of Millinocket's total annual budget. In what light should voters see this, and how would you explain your answer?
Rural schools have an average budget of about 48% of their town budgets. The Millinocket school budget represents approximately 53%. I think that's within the average range for Millinocket. There's a lot of services we provide. A lot of funding we don't get from the federal government, special education. They promised us when they instituted it that they pay 40%. They pay approximately 20%. Costs have all gone up. We all see our oil bills, our electric bills, they've all gone up, our food bills. But we do have to provide an as long as we have a school in Millinocket, we have to provide an education for those students. We've done a lot with East Millinocket. We performing arts, sports. It's a lot more we can do. I think some classes, maybe if they have a really great math teacher. We got a mini bus. I don't know why we can't make some arrangement to send a couple kids down. They've got a van with a big Wolverine on it, Skank. If we had a really good science teacher, why couldn't they send a couple kids down? That's not consolidation, that's working together. And that's what we should be doing. How do we need to communicate, East Millinocket. I think we're getting a lot closer. I had the opportunity this summer to work at a golf clinic in the local golf course. And I worked with kids. And I had a couple of young teenagers, and I won't use their names because that wouldn't be right. But one was from East, one was from Millinocket. I didn't hear them fight. I didn't hear them have any disagreements. They were friends. I've got a lot of friends in East Millinocket. I go to church at a church in East Millinocket. I don't fight with those people. I don't put on airs or anything else, and they don't. We have to work together. We can make the schools better and stronger as a community.
Thank you. And for our final, not actually a question. Final thoughts. This is your chance to make a case for your candidacy. And we'll start with Amber.
Again, I'm Amber Wheaton. I want to thank everyone who came out and everyone watching on Zoom. I just want to support our school system and support our students and their futures. I, again, am kind, positive. I'm an open mind and a fresh voice, and I really hope you consider voting for me. Thank you all.
Kevin Gregory, final thoughts. This is your chance to make your case for your candidacy.
I guess I'm an old voice then. I have experience. I've been here 13 years. Like Tom, I was chairman, and vice chair on many of those years. I haven't missed any meetings. I come to all the meetings. I actually had a medical thing down in Boston on a Thursday. I ran the school board meeting that following Tuesday. So I have dedication to the school. I think I bring a voice of reason to the board. That I can ask those questions. The biggest thing I want to see from the school board, and I think it's happening, is everyone has a voice, that they're not afraid to speak up. But after all the voice is done, we have to vote, and then we have to live with the vote, I think, is we are in America, so democracy is, it's whoever wins, that's what it's gonna be. So I thank everyone for their votes in the past. Like I said, I've been elected 5 times, 6 times, 5 times, I guess. And I appreciate all the support, and I hope you support me again this year. Thanks.
Julie, final thoughts. This is your chance to make your case for your candidacy.
I have really enjoyed so far. I've been an interim member of the board since July, the end of July. I've really enjoyed my time on the school board much more than even I knew that I would, because I was sparked by a need that I saw in the community and within our council and our school board and the communication between the two. And I said, okay, like, I need to have all the facts about this. I need to be in the know about this. I need to be contributing something in order to more than just my gifted children and my, like the being a parent of the school system. I myself, in order to fully back even my own opinions about what had happened, what is going to happen, I needed to be informed. And the best way to be informed was to go for this. And it has turned out to be so much more in my wheelhouse than I thought that it was. It has turned out to be a lovely experience so far. Just learning, it's tough. It's really tough. And it's tough to come to these decisions. It's tough to stick to a voting consensus when the chips are down, but it's so important to do so. It has been eye-opening from all perspectives. Interpersonally, it's been eye-opening. I mean, I've always been a pretty talkative and this way member of the community, but just the operation of the board itself and the working parts within it and the whimsy that I think that I bring to the position as well when I come skirting in, right at the last moment and wheel my chair halfway across the room because I'm late. All of those things I can't wait to continue doing for the next 3 years for you all over Zoom or in person.
Thank you. And Kevin Libby, final thoughts. This is your chance to make your case for your candidacy.
I wasn't brought up to pat myself on the back, but I guess that's what I'm supposed to do right now. I've been a lifelong learner. If you don't know what I'm a retired teacher, I think I've said that. My heart is with the schools. My heart's with the students. My heart's with the teachers. And my heart is with this community. I got several degrees. I think I know a lot about education. I'm not an expert, but I think I know a lot about it. I have a commitment to this community. I've lived here all my life. I'm going to live here till I die. I have a responsibility to this community. I've been given a lot. I've given a lot by the Great Northern. I was given a lot by getting the opportunity to work with some of your children. It meant an awful lot to me. And it continues to mean a lot to me. I remember the kids when they were this tall, now they're that tall. And I still care about them and they care about me, I hope. We have to prepare our kids, and I think I can do that. I think I know strategies. I have been to workshops, I have implemented things in the programs that I've been responsible for to help students. I think I can have some input in the school department to do through the school board to the school department to do that. I see opportunities right now that I have. We have a brand new superintendent. I haven't met the person yet, but I think we can really encourage that person to communicate, to collaborate, and to represent the parents and the teachers and the town council and everyone else in Millinocket is involved with our youth. If we can all get involved, if we all communicate, if we all show a little bit of understanding, compassion, we'll have a great school system. And we have a great school system and we'll continue to have a great school system.
Thank you. And that concludes our questions. I would like to say, thank you very much for your thoughtful and thought-provoking answers. I'm sorry.
You want me to answer that question?
Oh, Tom.
We're trying to.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna win, Tom.
Final thoughts, Tom. I apologize.
Thank you.
This is your chance. to make your case to your family.
I'll tell you, when the opening came for an interim on the council, on the school board, I looked at it and I went home to my wife and I said, look at that. She said, no. I said, no, I'm not interested. Well, the more I thought about it, and what this community has done for me. Millinocket has been my home. As I say, I've worked for the town for 48 years. The town has been very good to me. My son graduated from Stearns High School, went on to college, went on to get his master's, his doctorate. Because of the education he got in Millinocket. And I felt, can I help? And that was my whole thing. If I can go back and help for this interim, then I'll do it. Well, then, the 1 year seat come up and I said, well, to be honest with you, I kind of like getting back into it. It was fun again. I enjoy it. I believe that I get my packet and I go through it. Before I go to the meeting, I want to know what's going on. And I feel that whatever I can do to help the community, that's my goal. As in everything else that I do for and around the community. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote.
I get everybody right.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much for your thoughtful and thought-provoking answers. And I've got to say, that would be a tough decision now. I see 5 candidates that if whoever wins, I will feel that our school department is well served. And you committing yourself to run for an office it's a big decision for people. I've been through that myself. There are hard parts to it, but I remember it all very well with gratitude for myself for what I got out of it. So thank you very much. We're going to take a break for 10 minutes or so. The closest bathrooms are towards the auditorium. And if you'd like to speak to school board members or candidates and ask them additional questions, please feel free. And we'll call to order again at 7 o'clock. Thank you. These are our town council candidates, and again, we'll be doing the same format, alphabetical order. We'll go through, take turns answering it. And it's Jesse Dumais, Robert Higgins Jr., and Gilda Stratton. And we are recording these so that they can be seen later by people who aren't here. And I wish that I had thought of it earlier. I would have read your full name of the school board before each question, so that when people are flipping through like I do, you know, you speed through things and look at things that you can have the name exactly. So I will be saying your full name before each question, so that people who are watching later will have an easier time understanding who they're listening to. So Jesse Dumais, question number 1. Please tell us about yourself, your qualifications for office, and why you're interested in serving on the town council.
Not that I want to, I got a loud enough voice.
No, please, on behalf of deaf people everywhere. Please, please use the microphone.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. My name is Jesse Dumais, and I got a bunch of notes here since these people were gracious enough to provide us with the questions. Instead of me coming off the top of my head, in lieu of not having a teleprompter here, I'm just gonna review my notes here. So my name is still Jesse Dumais. I'm a former town councilor and former tax collector for the town of Millinocket. I'm currently employed at Garden Appliance and Mattress and Furniture, also True Value of Millinocket. I'm a member in good standing with charitable organizations such as the American Legion, the Elks Club, and the Red Knights Chapter Motorcycle Club of Maine. I'm an active member of my church. With my wife, we raised 2 children, including the third one that's a foster child. I'm a grandfather of 2. I was born and raised here in Millinocket, graduate of Stearns High School, alum of 1993. I've been a tax-paying resident of Millinocket close to a decade now. I enjoy and welcome the opportunity to serve all the good people of Millinocket. Thank you.
Robert Higgins Jr., please tell us about yourself and your qualifications for office, and why you're interested in serving on the town council.
Thank you. I was born and raised here in Maine. I'm also a disabled veteran. I served in the United States Army, overseas and stateside. I've raised 2 sons here. One has graduated from Stearns, went on to college, got done in college there as well, is now working as a stockbroker. And I have a freshman coming up through the school system right now. I'm proud to be part of this community. I'm a blue-collar worker. I've worked hard all my life. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. And I think that's what this town needs. Someone that's going to get in there and get dirty and represent them.
Thank you. Gilda Stratton, please tell us about yourself, your qualifications for office, and why you're interested in serving on the town council.
Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. My name is Gilda Stratton. I'm a mother, a grandmother, a friend, a neighbor, a communicant of St. Martin's Catholic Church. I have had 2 children graduate from the school, and I was on the school committee chairperson for several years, and I've also been previously on the council. And I have to say that my children got an excellent education in this community, and I was very thankful for that, because they're now well established in what they do. my most important thing is the people of this community. I have always tried to be a member that's active in everything that goes on in this community. And that's all I have to say, I guess.
Thank you. Question number 2, we'll start with Robert Higgins Jr. What do you see as the primary role of the town council?
Thank you. What I see as a primary role is representing the town and supporting the town, getting them what they need the way it should be, as well as upholding the town's charter. We just need to get the support back and the trust back for the people of this town.
Thank you. Gilda Stratton, what do you see as the primary role of the town council?
Well, I've serviced this community for many years in many difficult roles and witnessed many difficult times that have taken place. Therefore, I'm not a person that would not take responsibilities at heart. And I worked for Great Northern for 40 years, so I was devastated like everybody else in this community when that ended. So I can understand what the people in this community need, and I continue to want to do the best I can for the people in this area.
Thank you. And Jesse Dumais, what do you see as the primary role of the town council?
Okay, so this answer is not really a subjective answer. This answer is about duty and responsibilities to me. When you get elected as a councilman, when I first ran, the answer was much like Bob's, where it was more of a representative role. But as I researched it more, it's more of a duty and responsibility that the townspeople elect you to do. And those roles consist of adopting and amending ordinances, appointing citizens to boards and committees, approving contracts, appropriating funds from the capital reserves. They hire and supervise the town manager, and they prepare annual budgets. In a lump sum, that's what the town council is supposed to do. Everything else is kind of extra. So if you're looking for somebody that will do those things and do extra, then I'm your guy.
Question number 3, we will start with Gilda Stratton. What do you hope to accomplish during your time on the council? And what the hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
My goal for the future is focusing on how we relate to everyone by listening, working together, communication. We need to work with all the other departments that are the school board, the towns, the surrounding towns, and have strong Millinocket solutions for everyone in the community. And I'd also like to see us improve on growing our recreational economy. That's one of my priorities, because Maine has Maine's outdoor recreation viable economic value is 3.3, and I'd like to see Millinocket improve our outdoor recreational things. And I'd also like to see the monies that come in here for infrastructure. What my pet peeves was, I couldn't even walk up Main Street because the sidewalks were in such poor shape. I'd truly like to improve the infrastructure in this community. But most of all, I want to make it possible for seniors to be able to stay in their homes. I want to make sure that our children have the best education possible. And thank you.
Next will be Jesse Dumais. What do you hope to accomplish during your time on the council, and what hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
Thank you, Wally. So my first goal would be to, once again, I know this is kind of a standard answer of anybody that comes up here that's running for councils, they'd like to see a lower tax rate. So I'm going to start off with that and get that out of the way. So the only ways to really do that is to either raise your revenues up or to cut your budget down. So those would have to be some tough decisions that we would have to look at as councilors. Gilda, I saw her looking at my answers and she stole my improve the town's infrastructure. So I won't hold that against her, because I think that's another thing that everybody as a town councilor should be running on, is improving your roads and all the things, your sidewalks, so Gilda can walk again. And, so other than that, I'm looking to continue working with our partners like Architecton to attract new businesses and help supporting the existing businesses that we already have in the town of Millinocket. Like to encourage and enhance our law enforcement, of course, and our first responders, because they're ever growing and increasing, dealing with fentanyl and opioid problems and addictions that our town suffers from. So I think those would be a good starting point if we can get some of those things checked off the checklist, and I think we'll be in better shape than we are today.
Thank you. Robert Higgins Jr., what do you hope to accomplish during your time on the council, and what hurdles do you anticipate being in your way?
Well, I might as well go to infrastructure with everybody else, because we've all seen the roads and the sidewalks, you're correct. Can remember plenty of times walking down through in the middle of winter, and where the sidewalks were all shoveled out, getting into the different stores and different areas as far as some of the businesses that we have in the community. And I understand that we are trying to bring in new businesses, but we've also got to take care of the businesses that are here in this town already existing. You're right on saying that, Jesse. As far as hurdles, again, we've had a lot out there in the media, which the town doesn't need that. We should be one, we're a community, and we should share in that. So it's a matter of getting the trust back from the people and getting their support and giving the town its support that it needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4, we'll start with Jesse Dumais again. The mill rate, the number that determines property taxes, is frequently criticized as being too high. In what light should voters see this, and how would you address it?
So thanks to educators like Mr. Libby, we've learned back in 5th and 6th grade how to balance a checkbook. And I think we've kind of overcomplicated the process of balancing that checkbook. So my focus would be on don't spend outside our means. And we're budgeting higher and higher each year. And our population has been declining each year. We have increasing inflation. Our school classes, as we've already mentioned, are shrinking. Properties are dwindling. We're spending money as we still have 7,500 people in this town and more. We only have about 4,100. We can't keep at that pace. I would like everybody to realize the economic recession that we're currently in, and we need to adjust that. Any kind of wasteful spending that we might find as counselors, we have to stop asking our citizens to pay for a Corvette when they're getting a Chevette. So.
Thank you. Robert Higgins Jr. The mill rate, the number that determines property taxes, is frequently criticized as being too high. In what light should voters see this back, and how would you address it?
I actually went back and read a newspaper this week. And it was talking about the way taxes were gonna change, different areas, mill rate. It's all done on the assessment. We understand that. We've also heard with the members that are running for the school board on that the budget was over half the town's budget was the school's budget. They've got some thoughts. And the candidates here, as well as myself, we understand where they're coming from on it. It's all about the mill rates based on the balancing of the budget. I mean, it's how much you're gonna need. So that goes up, goes down, on how you're gonna balance that. I know not everybody wants to hear consolidation, but maybe that's what these communities need. We're already sharing many things. We share our law enforcement. It's only gonna help the community, I think.
Thank you. Excuse me, and Gilda Stratton. The mill rate, the number that determines property taxes, is frequently criticized as being too high. In what light should voters see this back, and how would you address it?
Well, like we all know, the inflation rate now is so bad and everything we have is going up. But until we get some kind of businesses on that empty property, we've got to work closely with our Katahdin to see if there's any way that we can bring more businesses and address helping the businesses we have in our community. And as far as consolidation goes, for many years on the school board, I tried to get that to happen because of our enrollment going down. And like they said, we do share a lot of the things right now, but we've got to share municipal things, school things, and try to look at every department we have and have those leaders of those departments see if there's any way that we can bring their budget down somewhat. The budget we always had to look at was line by line, and I guess that's the only way you can do it. You've got to see what is needed and what is inflated. So, thank you.
Thank you. For our final question, starting with Robert Higgins Jr. Final thoughts. This is your chance to make your case for your candidacy.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been an experience. I will not lie there. I'm truthful to a fault sometimes. I'm not one that's going to be mincing a lot of words. I will support, if elected, I will support the rest of the town council in their votes as far as, okay, I might vote different than somebody else, but if the majority says, then that's what I'll follow. But I'm also not a blowhard. I speak what needs to be spoke. I listen. I watch and I learn. I will not lie, it's gonna be a new experience for me. But I also like taking on a challenge. And I usually don't back down. So I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Gilda Stratton, your final thoughts. This is your chance to make a case for your candidate.
Well, my final thoughts, like I said before, I serve this community with my heart. And I'm always for the welfare of everyone in this community. And I weigh and research everything that comes up on that agenda for the council. And if I don't agree with what is going on, everybody will know exactly how I feel about every item. So I will continue to be as honest as possible and weigh everything that I vote on. Thank you.
Jesse Dumais, final thoughts. This is your chance to make your case for your candidate.
Final thought, other than I keep turning the mic on after you hand it to me, Gilda. I'd like to
See, I
thank,
never had it on.
I know. I'm not gonna tell on you. All right, so I'd like to thank Wally for hosting us tonight, for the committee for putting this together, for the library organization for stringing this along, and for Stearns High School for hosting us. My final thoughts are, we live in a very different world as when I grew up. We're now in the age of cell phones and Zoom meetings and Airbnbs. We're an extremely divided social structure right now. Politics are increasingly more and more polarized every year. Every decision seems to be red or blue. All this technology is designed to bring us closer together, but more and more of us feel alone and depressed. Everything is being normalized, and everything is subject to being a new addiction. I still believe in bridging the gap between heritage and the ever-evolving future. I think that if you're looking for a person that has had service to his country, to the state, to the town, and values his family and his community and has faith in God, and will do my very best to bring some common sense to the council. I promise to be fiscally responsible with your tax dollars. I'm going to be your guy. I'd like to thank you for your support. And if you don't vote for me, that's fine. But please exercise your right to get out there and vote. Vote for somebody. It's your duty. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, putting yourself out there and deciding to run, and the thoughts and the process that you go through to do that can be a very stressful and strenuous thing, you know, daring to do it, and here you are, and you put yourself forward. And again, I would feel well represented no matter who wins, and I wish you all good luck with that. I'd also like to thank Charlie Prey and my friends from the library, Nicole and Diana. Their technical ability is astounding to a Luddite like me. And I'll tell you,
That's a.
see me there, John. Yeah, no, Charlie and I are on the downward side of this slope, I think, and it's been pretty impressive watching people with a clue work. Do we know what is going to happen with this video?
Yes, so we're going to send it to the town of Millinocket to put on their YouTube page, so it should be up there later in the week. And actually, we're only at 7:30 right now, so we could entertain some questions from the audience if people
Absolutely.
have a few. Is that something you'd be
Willing to moderate?
Sure, yes.
Hi, I'm Jean Wade. I'm relatively new to the community, but my husband's family has been here since 1830, so they've been here a day or two. I'm concerned about how the messaging is going to go with the property evaluations, which will have to take place. The state has said, you guys haven't done evaluation for 30 years. It's overdue. I feel that it's overdue. So one of the comments I read in the Impediments paper is that people are gonna have a hard time wrapping their head around how the mill rate is gonna go down, which it will. But property taxes will go up. If we haven't really done anything for 30 years, and the bulk of our homes are paying taxes between $800 and $1,400 a year, I think. I found that information. So anybody who would like to take that on, that'd be great.
Okay, let me, I want to make, I doubt that gets picked up in the video. That's the
Oh,
problem.
that's
It did.
It did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, so the question has been heard and you all heard the question? Okay.
I just want to say, because I think this is important.
Unless
community
somebody else
information.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so evaluation is one of those things where, like you said, get kicked down the can down the road for year after year after year after year. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's something that's necessary and something that they had to do. Nobody likes to see that because counteracts the mill rate going down. So that's the nature of the beast. If you don't do what you're supposed to do throughout the years, then it's going to catch up to you at some point. Well, this is the wrecking day of that. So the goal, now that that's come to light, is it shouldn't rise again for a while, but who knows what legislature is going to do next year. So with not knowing what we don't know, the only way to really counterbalance that is to try to lower the mill rate again. So those valuations stay in check.
Well, I would just say that
It's on.
I would just say that they are working on the valuations of different sections. The new development, the local down Main Street way, and then Morgan Lane and all those places, they're gonna be evaluated, and they are working on that. So,
I'm gonna think of it. It's all about the mill rate.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir?
Yes, this last town council voted 7-0 to change the charter or amendment, whatever it was. Allow the town manager to live out of town and still be the manager of the Millinocket committee. I strongly feel that this manager should live in Millinocket, any manager should live in Millinocket, who's going to be the town manager. I'd like to have an idea what these councilors feel about that, and an idea.
I will comment on that because I talked about that earlier this evening. I feel exactly the same way. That charter was made up for the town manager to be readily accessible to this community and pay taxes in this community. And that is exactly how I feel about it.
And I also like to make the comment that whoever the manager is, he can't take a little bit of criticism. How can we trust him to do his job?
Again, this is not a time
You know
for.
what? You know what? Right now, we're gonna stop this. We're not going to be editorializing.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No, I wasn't.
Just Higgins,
gonna
if
do that.
you'd like to comment on that?
Thank you. I do understand your question, and I was at that town council meeting, along with one of the other candidates. And I understand why they wanted to do that. yes, I agree, he should be readily accessible, which he is. But I also understand, he also, because it's a hired position, if that makes sense, it's not an elected position. It would be different if it was like one of the town council. I understand that completely. I understand it was in the town charter, but it was the town council voted to change that. From what I've seen and listened to, he is supporting the community. And he's got some very good ideas. But at the same point, he's also going to take care of his family and keep that segregation. So he can be there for the town, but at the same point, he's got a buffer too. I understand where you're coming from. And it took me a while to roll that way as well, but I do understand where he's coming from. Jesse?
All right, so I would have, as a councilman, I probably would have voted no on that amendment to the charter. On the other comment, I feel that the manager is in a learning experience, so I think all of this tough skin will grow in time. Everybody deals with pressure a little bit differently, so there's a few cases where I think the heart's in the right place, but what happens in a council meeting sometimes is things get emotionally charged. So what happens is, I think if people will remove the emotion from the audience or from the spectators or from the Zoom meetings or from the emails, and they take the personality out of the meeting and just stick to facts and numbers and things are what they are, then I think the rest of those things will iron themselves out. So that's how I feel about that.
Or any other questions from the?
So I wanted to get onto the topic of infrastructure. For the roads, their improvement of condition. How long do you guys think when you guys get on to, let's say, the podium? And how long do you predict that would take?
Thank you, Luke, for your question. I will tell you this, the gears of government, even in small town government, grind slow. So what you put place now probably will be in effect in a few years from now. So the trees that you plant today will show up sometime tomorrow. So that's the best way I can answer that. There's a certain allot amounted from the state funds that you get allotted for road infrastructure. The town has a very minimal budget when it comes to road infrastructure. So those are things that it's all kind of prioritizing where you spend your money. If let's say, like for the library, they want this amount of money to go here, and roads, this amount of money to go here. So all of that gets hammered out during the budget session. And it's a long, arduous project, but the seeds we plant today will see fruit hopefully sometime tomorrow.
You keep turning it off. Anyways, I agree with Jesse, but I believe that the council and the manager and everyone are looking at all times for grants for infrastructure. And there is grant money out there for that. So I'm glad to see that we are interested in it and that we are looking for monies out there to help us with that. Thank you.
Have you all? Okay, very good. Before we go, one point, it was just pointed out to me, if you have a question, please give your name when you say it, so it will be recorded for people to watch later. Pete?
My name is Peter Jameson. I am the town manager here in Millinocket. I have heard in answers throughout the evening, input that is based on incredibly inaccurate information. I've heard questions that are also based on rumor or inaccurate information. One directed at my employment contract as opposed to a charter revision, which is incredibly lengthy and expensive, which is not what happened. My question is, how would you ensure that you have accurate information based on fact? And how would you represent that to ensure that your community members get the real story based on fact? How would you ensure that people have accurate information?
So I'll go first. If I happen to say charter instead of contract, I apologize. It should have been contract if I said charter. I don't remember if I did or not. But the way I would ensure that is, when I was a counselor before, it's a very painstaking job, and it's either a labor of love or it is you do it out of the love for your community, because for $800 a year, nobody would really want to do this job, because for this job to do it, and for what I consider doing it right, took about 20 to 25 hours of your time and energy, sometimes your own money. And a lot of that you don't get back. So you hope that what you invest, you would take that time and do your research, and that you would have, like you said, facts, verify, and distribute that. Inaccuracies cause problems a lot. So that's how I would do it. I would do my research, and I would go with facts, and then I would reiterate Gilda a lot, I guess. Just kidding. She knows it.
The question that was asked was, why did they vote on changing the charter? That was the question. And my answer was, I would never have voted to change the charter. And I had no idea that we weren't talking of charter, but that was the question. So that's what I referred to, was the charter. I wouldn't change the charter.
Contract and then whatever.
That's not what we're here to talk about, though, so let's get back to.
Absolutely.
Your question is asking. It's on there. The question is asking the question, doing the research, keeping quiet till you have the facts. And you were right, it was your contract. And I misspoke it as well, as we all did, and I do apologize for that. It wasn't the charter. But that would just a lot of fact checking before speaking.
Charles Prey, just to follow up on that in a question form. I've been on the council 7 years. I think in the last year and a half, there has been so much more information put out to the community, through the webpage of the town, and advancing along that with a column being put out by the town now. There's so much more information that's out there that can be shared with the community. Gilbert and Jesse both have served on the council before, and I guess, Rob, this might be an unfair question to you, but have you seen a significant improvement in the last 5 or 6 months of the public communications that was talked about and a number of the answers that were there with the efforts that the town's putting out? And have you had any reaction from your supporters on those efforts by the town? Do you see that in a positive light or a negative light?
I can actually go on that one. Yes, I have seen a lot of the information coming out there. I've talked with, better, now it is on. The information that the town's putting out, it's getting out there, and how do I put it? It's some of it is kind of hard to get the information, like from people out in the community. They wanted to see the Zoom meetings for the town council meetings. They have a hard time finding that on the webpage. Actually, and I even had a hard time. I had to backtrack and then jump forward and be able to get through there. Some of the things haven't been updated. Some of the town meetings are I think the last time they were updated, the last time I checked was back in March, was the town council meeting. But it has increased significantly. And it's helped the town. I mean, it gives them the information they need. I mean, in some places, that's the only contact a lot of the town members have, is getting that information that way, because they don't go out into the community like they used to. We do have an older community here now.
Okay. I don't like some of the things that the media puts out lately. I really
Sure you don't want the mic, Gilda?
I just assume leave it at that.
So the way, so the information getting out, I mean, I'm all for being transparent, and I think that's great. And the more information, the better. Sometimes things can get a little lengthy and they run on a lot. A lot of things are doubled over. So that can get a little frustrating. But all in all, I think the communication is great. I mean, post all the things that happened between the school and the town. They're going forward. I think things have been much better. So I think, once again, this is a lot of new people and a lot of new positions, figuring it out as we go along. There's going to be some growing pains with that. Hopefully all those things will get ironed out. So yeah, I think the information coming out is good. There's hopefully there's a lot more. More important than that, I think, is public participation, because a lot of us, and I know I did this and I will continue to do this, is the public that comes up to you and calls you and stops you in Hannaford and comes to your work, and everybody knows what all that's about. That stuff we take as counselors a lot. We consider that information a lot, because at the end of the day, this is your money being spent. So hopefully encourage, and not everything is going to be bad all the time. Not everything's going to be good all the time. So there's not going to be a bunch of praises. I heard when I first started running the first time, you're going to make 50% of the people mad and you're going to satisfy 50% of the people. So I mean, I mean, we're Americans first, Mainers second, and hopefully party affiliated after that. I mean, if we need to take care of each other. And I know that sounds easy, but we should be more purple than red and blue. So hopefully we take that in, because one side can't be giving all the time, and the other side taking all the time, because that's very counterproductive. It's very counterproductive. So hopefully I'm on a council that serves, and there's going to be some 5-2s. There's going to be some 4-3s. I'll guarantee you on this council, there's not going to be 7-0, 7-0, 7-0, 7-0, because that's not a fair representation of Millinocket. Millinocket is always not where we're not people that all think alike all the time. So you can't tell me if somebody's always voting 7-0, that majority or minority, where's the minority representation on the council? That's some of my frustration, is that there should be at least one person voting no on some of these things. Where's the courage? Takes a little fire, but where's the courage? But there you go. I think somewhere there was the answer.
Any other? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, and to follow up just a little bit on what Charlie Prey had to say. All the information can be put out there in every form possible, from having open meetings to having the Zoom meetings, to having the newsletter, to having the town manager having an open door. That doesn't help a bit when Jesse and I are the only two people at a meeting. Do you think that if more people in the town participated, that there would be a better understanding rather than them getting their information on social media?
So one thing we can't do, and I agree with you, Sandy, is we can't govern from Facebook. We can't govern from Twitter. We can't, I don't even own a Twitter, or never tweeted or nothing. Facebook, I really get to hate that too as well. So I mean, it's a bunch of garbage most of the time. So thank you for saying that, because I would enjoy as a counselor seeing 30, 40, 50 people at a meeting. Hopefully that's going to happen, because those faces are what we count on to make our decisions. Most of us. I mean, some of us go into it with an already formed opinion or idea because of the research we've done. But like having said, I've changed my mind in the middle of a meeting because somebody made a valid point that I could not find a good argument for. So public participation at council meetings are very important. I completely agree with you. I thank you for showing up at the meetings.
I agree. You need more people there. I've heard people out in the community say they don't know when the meetings are. They're advertised. That no one goes to the meetings. They actually, you can go. I've been there. Jesse's been there. We've heard people from the community actually come and speak and ask questions. Jesse's right. We need to have more participation. If you don't agree, or you do agree on something, instead of talking behind the closed doors or using the Facebook or any of those social medias, do it in person. Make your voice heard.
I agree with everything that's been said. And as far as Facebook is concerned, I'm not on Facebook. I think it's a gossip thing, and I won't participate in it. So anyway.
Thank you. We have time for a couple more, Charlie. Give your name and.
Charles Trami, 34 Main Avenue, Millinocket. Recreational tourism. The town has to change from the Great Northern mentality that we had 20 years ago. These changes are happening. I want to hear a view of such things as Airbnbs and housing. Does anybody got any transitional opinions on it?
Charlie, I'm glad you asked that, because I have some strong feelings about Airbnb. As a business person, I think they're wonderful. As a citizen of Millinocket, I think they're horrible. So in my line of work, I see several landlords come in from out of state, out of town, southern Maine. Great thing, they're buying up the properties and they're making them tax worthy and they're improving the lot. But also what you see is families moving and can't find a place to live. You're seeing single mothers with children that can't find an apartment. I hear it all the time, all the time. Look in the paper, there might be a handful and they're renting them as Airbnbs because A, they're more profitable. B, they don't have to worry about people trashing the place or slumlording it or whatever. They really have a decent business. But no families can move in. If families move in, they hurt your school department. So as my feeling as Airbnbs are great as a business, if you want a profitable business, but I think they're gonna hurt, and I think they are hurting the town of Millinocket. Second question, when you was talking about tourism and recreation. I think the conversation of the mill is dead and over. I think it's been dead and over for 10, 12 years now, at least. I mean, the conversations of it, if people are still holding on to that conversation, then that's really on you, because number 11 is not starting up anytime soon. So you're right, that needs to go away. But we can't have all our eggs in one basket. We can't just depend on tourism, or else we're going to be a bar harbor. We're going to be closed down for 6 months out of the year. We do need recreation. We do need that ATV access. We need all of that to help sustain us. We need to be more than a one-trick pony in this town now. And by organizations like Arcatad, who I think are doing some really good work. And from what I understand, they're really close to putting a couple anchor tenants in there. So I think some things are on the move here in Millinocket. The market as far as selling residential homes has slowed down a lot in the past couple of years. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but I think that's another federal state decision that's clogged up that market. I should have tried selling my house 2 years ago when it was really good. Because right now things have slowed down a lot. People don't have that expendable income anymore with inflation again, the economic instability that everybody's feeling. Yeah, times are going to be tight. So I support any kind of revenue that this town can bring in, but I think Airbnbs are going to be a hindrance to us. If it's up, it's on.
I mentioned before that one of my priorities is a growing outdoor recreational economy, and that seems to be an important factor in a lot of areas in this state. And I agree that we've got to make that more accessible, trails and all of it. But the Airbnbs, I agree with Jesse. People are coming here and buying these houses and they're renting them out for Airbnbs, and there's no, like you say, apartments or houses for people that would like to live here. So that's the way I feel for it.
Outdoor recreation in this community. I mean, it's been the backbone. I mean, we grew up, they started out as loggers. You had the mill. Now you look at all the camps on the lake. You look at how many times those pieces of property get rented out to people from away. Locals can't afford that stuff anymore, which is good for them, just like the Airbnbs. It's a good business. But where does it help us in the community? I mean, yeah, you might have one or two people that are going and cleaning those out for them, giving them a job, small job. Or you've got the handyman. You've got many of those in the community here that are taking care of those camps. But how does that help us in the long term? You've got the other seasons that we have to look at. And then no one wants to say it, but you've got the monument. And then the push maybe to make it a national park. A lot of people don't want to hear it. We need those ATV trails. We need those snowmobile trails. That's a big amount of money to this community in the winter. And I'm for the outdoor recreation.
We have time for one more. Is there anyone who hasn't asked a question? Yes,
I'd like to know how the three of you
and give your name, please.
I'm sorry, Mindy Washington, right around the corner is where I live. I'd like to know how each of you feels about maintaining the beauty of our environment here in Maine, and to what extent you would go to protect it versus money coming in. I mean, I understand that money needs to come into the town. I came from a place that started out pretty much the same way we're talking right now from Millinocket. It became hell to live in because of all the recreation that people thought they were going to get to do and all the Airbnbs they thought they were going to do. They ruined the environment. And they, the people that had lived there for 200 years or more had to move because they couldn't afford to live in their hometown anymore. So I'd like to know how each of you feel about maintaining the integrity of the community versus grabbing those buckaroos. I need these words.
If you could hold it slightly farther from your mouth, it might, there's a little feedback. Thank you.
Is this good?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet those people that have lived for 200 years.
Sorry, I meant generation.
You're fine, you're fine. It's what I do. So, unlike Meatloaf, I won't do anything for love. So I would protect the integrity of the community. If given the choice, if you're saying, pick a side, then that's what I would do. I would, I believe that there's enough piece of the pie for most of it. Some of it's probably not needed, but at the detriment of the community, no, I would choose the community over the other.
I would agree with Jesse. I have two children that have degrees in environmental law. And one of my children is president of National Parks and Recreation. You don't talk about ruining the environment with her at all. So that's exactly how I feel. This community comes first.
And I agree with both of them. The community should come first before the money. And we should be taking care of each other.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. And it is 8:02. Thank you very much for coming and attending and giving our candidates a chance to speak their mind and questions. And good night. Appreciate it.